lot of people think it would be cool to pick up an instrument, maybe learn a few chords, maybe impress somebody, maybe fill the void. But before you go skipping off to your local music store looking forward to be the next Mozart, Hendrix, or whatever else TikTok told you was impressive, let me give you a reality check. Because some instruments don't want to be played. They want to break you. These are the instruments that whisper in your sleep, that twist your fingers into unnatural shapes, and make you question if you ever had talent in the first place. So if you're thinking about picking up any of these, maybe don't, or do. I'm not your dad. But I will be watching your dreams die slowly. Let's begin with the hardest instruments to play. Starting off, we have the violin. The first known violins came into being in Italy in the 16th century, and today is one of the most widely recognized instruments in the world. The sound produced from this instrument can be found in almost every genre of music across hundreds of years. The violin is also widely regarded as one of the most difficult instruments to learn. One of the reasons behind this is that there are no guides on the violin for finger placement. On other instruments like the guitar, the player can use divisions on the instrument known as frets to help them locate the correct places to put their fingers when they play a note or chord. With the violin, on the other hand, the lack of frets means that the player must rely on muscle memory to know exactly where to put their fingers. The difficulties don't just end there. After a while, most people can remember finger placements, much like learning to touch type. However, to produce a beautiful sound, there are larger numbers of variables. The sound that comes from the violin doesn't just depend on finger placement. It also depends on pressure, speed, the bow, the notes that were previously played, and many other things. This is why most professional violinists usually started learning to play when they were about 4 years old. It takes an incredibly long time to play this instrument without it sounding like someone is strangling a cat. Next up, we have the French horn. The French horn probably isn't the first instrument that comes to mind when we're going through this list, but it's still a pretty influential piece of an orchestra. Its unique shape makes it look a little bit like it could become part of a machine in a steampunk science fiction film, but this is all part of what gives the French horn its rich sound. It's a brass instrument in the same family as the trumpet or the tuba. The earliest incarnations of the modern brass instrument were actually animal horns, hollowed out so that a player could press their lips to a smaller end and make a large, full sound, often to alert others of danger or to celebrate good news. The French horn is mostly seen as a very challenging instrument. To play the French horn requires a great deal of breath control. It can be hard to figure out how to position the mouth in order to get the right pitch. The finger positions of this instrument is also challenging. The high notes are relatively close to each other, which makes it difficult to tell the difference between them. Overall, combining the breath control, lip position, and finger locations along with the strange shape of this instrument, the French horn can be a confusing instrument to learn. However, it's a great instrument for those who have a decent set of lungs. Not me. Next up, we have the one that I probably most agree with, and that is the organ. The organ is an instrument that is ornate as it is musically pleasing. For people, the sound of the organ is synonymous with church or baseball. The early versions of the organ appeared in history over 2,000 years ago, and the basic principles of this instrument haven't really changed since. The organ works by directing pressurized air through pipes. There can be an almost infinite number of variations to the organ. Organs can be large or small and have varied abilities of tone. The organ might look like a piano and follow the same structure of keys, but that's where the similarities end. It is an incredibly complex piece of musical equipment. To play the organ successfully requires intense coordination of the hands, feet, eyes, and ears. Playing the organ can be a bit like playing a video game, but also coding the game at the exact same time. It takes a really long time to master the organ, and sometimes the mastery can be limited to only one specific machine. Organ playing experienced a bit of surge in popularity in the 70s and 80s thanks to companies that provide machines small enough to be in homes. But this instrument has since fallen out of favor. This is most likely the reason why the organ player in a church is usually an elderly person. Next up, we got the bagpipes. Almost everyone associates the bagpipes with Scottish tradition. Guilty. And rightfully so. It is a woodwind instrument that has been deeply ingrained in Scottish and Celtic culture since the 13th century. The bagpipes produce a strange sound that people seem to either love or hate, but they are very difficult to play. A bagpipe player needs to constantly supply the instrument with air while creating the perfect amount of pressure on the instrument's bladder underneath its arm. The finger positioning of the bagpipes might look a little like the recorder, but it's much more complex and can take years to master. Next up, we have the accordion. The accordion is another instrument that uses air pressure to create its notes and tones. When most people think of the accordion, they probably imagine a street musician somewhere in Paris entertaining tourists in a busy market square. Or if you're like me, you think of Sea of Thieves. It looks like an instrument that has been around forever, but the earliest mentions of the accordion only date back to around 1829. Even watching someone play the accordion can feel like genuine magic. The reason the accordion is so difficult to play is that it requires a lot of different actions to happen simultaneously. It's a little bit like playing a piano that is also a set of bagpipes, only with more buttons and finger locations. The accordion can also be quite heavy and tiring to play for long periods of time. Next up, we got the oboe. The oboe is a reeded wood instrument that came into prominence in the late 1700s. It's mostly played as a part of an orchestra. It's similar to a clarinet, but much bigger and creates a brighter and clearer sound compared to the clarinet's mellow tones. The oboe follows the previous pattern of difficulties to play instruments in that it also requires the player to control multiple things at the same time. It demands a lot from the mouth, lips, tongue, and breath. I'm going to let you fill in the gaps on what I was going to say there. It demands a lot from the mouth, lips, tongue, and breath because the sound of the instrument's notes isn't just controlled by finger placement. An oboe player also needs to learn to breathe through their nose while breathing out through their mouth, which is way more difficult than patting the head while rubbing the tummy. Putting all of this together still requires a great deal of coordination because the right amount of pressure from all factors needs to be applied to create the perfect sound. Dude, took me 2 seconds. The oboe can't be that hard. The oboe can't. Learning an instrument is one of those things where it can be very freaking difficult, but you know what? That is not the point. If you are passionate about it, you're going to go out and you're going to do it. Just don't pick any of these instruments or you're stupid. Just kidding. No, if you pick any one of these instruments, it just means your respect points are going to go up 30 billion. That was all I had for the video. If you enjoyed it, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe, whatever the hell it is. It helps me out a lot, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.